Good evening. I'm still reporting on the coup. So you may have heard of this so-called special counsel, Jack Smith, which Attorney General Merrick Garland sent to try to get Trump before the next election. Well, he's known for using some very shady legal theories in order to gain convictions. And he's married to a documentary filmmaker who did a very positive biography on Michelle Obama. In fact, from 2010 to 2015, Jack Smith worked for Obama's Attorney General Eric Holder. Smith went after former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell and scored a conviction, but the conviction was later overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court in a unanimous 8-0 decision. The Supremes even rebuked Smith, saying that the uncontrolled power of criminal prosecutors is a threat to our separation of powers. Judicial Watch has sued the Justice Department for refusing to reveal the names of Jack Smith's staff in the investigation against President Trump's handling of classified documents. So yesterday, Jack Smith asked the U.S. Supreme Court to jump into the case before any trial has taken place on Trump's classified documents case. A super rare appeal for rush to judgment, especially in a case which is obviously aimed at interfering with Trump's election chances 11 months from now. That's plain as day for everyone to see. Newsmax's Greg Kelly brought in Joe DeGeneva, who lambasted Jack Smith.
Breaking news of tonight is that the United States Supreme Court took only 5 hours this afternoon to decide to fast-track Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's request that the Supreme Court intervene now.
Tonight, Special Counsel Jack Smith asking the Supreme Court to decide if Donald Trump is immune from prosecution in the election interference case.
Tonight, the special counsel bets big on the Supreme Court. How big of a bet? Well, every single check and balance on all presidents just might be at stake.
He is really trying to fast-track this case. He says it's because the people have a right to know. I know that he wants Trump to not be elected president. That's my keen sense of the matter. Let's see. SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, are they on Jack Smith's side? I got to read all this, but petitioners motion to expedite consideration of the petition for a writ of certiorari. I should not have read this thing. Let's bring in the experts. They'll tell us what it means. Joe DeGeneva, the former U.S. attorney, and Doug Burns, former federal prosecutor. Great guy, not like the ones you see on MSNBC. Forgive me, gentlemen. Yes. They all act like this is the biggest deal in the world. Help me out here, though. Big picture. Donald Trump, understandably, wants to slow down this thing, i.e. get it thrown out. And what Jack Smith has done here by seeking Supreme Court intervention is incredibly premature, incredibly unprofessional, and that's what's happening because they want this done soon to damage him politically. Joe?
You are absolutely correct.
Phew.
There's absolutely no reason to fast track this case. If you treat it as a traditional criminal case, it takes its course, it goes to the Court of Appeals, and if somebody wants to take it up to the Supreme Court, they do. But Jack Smith doesn't want to do that. He wants this case decided very fast so that he can go to trial, get a conviction, which he will get in the District of Columbia with a biased jury pool. 92% voted for the Democrat, Joe Biden, in the last election, and get a conviction so that he can claim that Trump should not be president. I mean, this is a disgrace. And the performance by Jack Smith in this, like a little child running to the Supreme Court to get a quick decision. Mommy, please help me. Please stop this so I can get my decision. This guy's a thug. He's an unprofessional. He's an embarrassment to the Justice Department. But these days, this Justice Department cannot be embarrassed.
Doug Burns, do you agree with that assessment? Is the Supreme Court smart enough to figure it out that they're being played here? And what's that word I was having trouble with? A writ of
certiorari. Certiorari.
What does that mean?
They have the discretion to take it or not take it.
Well, I couldn't agree with you. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you guys more, obviously. Jack Smith is trying to move heaven and earth to bring this case to trial in the election season. It is a disgrace, as Joe said. And the point is, the government doesn't ask for speedy trials. It's the defendant's right, and he or she can insist on a quick trial, waive it, and the government never objects if they waive it. So again, Joe and I, we've been doing this for decades. We sit here and we watch this completely disingenuous argument that it's of imperative public importance that the case go to trial quickly. No, it is not.
In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens.
It specifically says in the Constitution that that is the defendants, the accused, has that right, not the government. What concerns me, Joe, and has concerned me for a long time, there are very few of you guys standing up. You guys are great, and you have the credentials, but they have legions of your former counterparts dominating the New York Times, dominating cable news, feeding in to what they want to hear.
Well, the issue here is you just can't listen to that noise. You have to give your opinion, your honest opinion as a lawyer. I'm the former United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. I prosecuted the Jonathan Pollard spy case. I've had dozens of major types of criminal cases in front of me. The performance of Jack Smith is an embarrassment to any United States attorney in the country. They brought him back from The Hague. Can you imagine? They dragged this guy back prosecuting war criminal cases from The Hague because he was embarrassed. He had to leave the Justice Department because he was overturned by the Supreme Court so many times because of his bizarre legal theories. This guy is a thug. He is a legal thug with a very soft voice, and he's the perfect partner for Merrick Garland.
I love Joe DeGenova. I'll be so sorry to see him go. He and his wife are a perfect match.
And they're gonna get it by a jury, and I wonder if they're gonna get it by the Supreme Court. Kavanaugh seems spooked, and Amy Coney Barrett. And you know what? I know you have credentials, superlative credentials, both of you, and I know you're right. But the other side, they got a guy named David Kelly, who used to be, I think, a U.S. attorney in the Southern District. Maybe you guys know him, and I saw him today going off on how he's a brilliant move, and they know what they're doing. And I know that's wrong, and I suspect that deep down he knows it's wrong too, Doug, could you?
Well, no, that's right. I mean, we've seen legal pundits and experts who have sold out legitimate legal analysis just based on pure Trump hatred, anger, and Trump derangement syndrome. It's very difficult to watch. So when Joe and I see guys looking in the camera and saying it's imperative that there be a speedy trial, when in 38 years, I don't think I've ever, and I'd be curious on Joe's take, I don't think I can remember the government ever asking for a speedy trial. Honestly.
I never once, as United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, over 6 years, asked for a speedy trial. It is absolutely ludicrous. And by the way, Greg, let me just tell you something. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Doug's father was Arnie Burns. Am I right, yes. Doug?
You are.
And I worked for Arnie Burns. He was Deputy Attorney General when I was U.S. Attorney in the Reagan administration. I'm proud to be on this set with Doug Burns.
So this is just another guy in a long line of those participating in this Coupster's attempt to destroy all faith in the justice system in the United States. These people will eventually end up, God willing, facing a real justice system themselves. I'm still reporting from just outside the citadel of world freedom. Good day.